Mrs. Peterson here with the placement and division, which is part of unequal spacing. It's the second part. Here we go. The principle of unequal spacing, lines, and divisions. You can use the principle of unequal spacing with lines and also to divide a group of compositions. So look at these two cards below. These are business cards. Which one is more interesting and why? Take a little look, think about what we spoke about the other day. Whether your lines or division are vertical or horizontal, dividing your composition into unequal parts will add energy and interest to do your design. So this design right here has more energy in it because we have added a line that is not in the middle, right? And then we're gonna talk about a few more things about this as well, but let us go on. So if you're watching this video right now, after this card, stop and do a Google search. What you want to do is first of all, make sure your Google search settings are on safe mode. And then just Google business cards, all right? And what you want to do, first of all, is can you find 5 examples of designs with the principle of unequal spacing? You could look for lines and divisions, but you can also just look at what we did the other day with things in 3 different places, not the same distance from the edge of the card, all right? After you finish this, do another Google search on designs with divisions between the elements, just like the card above. So pause the video and do a little search. Okay, hopefully you did a little search. In this example, what could you do to make the design of this announcement more energetic? Okay, so it's an air show, May 28th at 5 p.m. at Bonifer's Airfield. Well, right now we can already see that they haven't hardly used any unequal spacing. Look how far the edge of the airplane is from almost every side. And it's divided straight down the middle. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a business card right there. All right, here we go. Here's another option, and now we've made a line a little bit lower. We have more room for the airplane. And we've changed the size of the font. And here, we've made less room for the airplane, but more room for the words. These two are more dynamic. This one is more stagnant, all right? Now, the principle of unequal spacing on horizon lines. If you've ever heard me talk about the rule of thirds, you're going to see this right away in this. How you crop where the horizon is depends on what you want to happen. Right? First of all, if you're taking a picture, we would talk about the rule of thirds and where you should put the horizon. But now, when you're making an ad, if you make it on the bottom rule of thirds, which is a tic-tac-toe sign, boom, 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 boom. If you make it on the bottom rule of thirds, then you have room in the sky. So what is it that you're going to be using this ad for? Why would you be using something with horizon? Now look at this one. So they put the horizon line on the top, and they really kind of focused on the idea of the drive, the movement. Here is talking about the day and the sky. So depending on where you put that unequal spacing is where you can use that to your advantage, all right? So the principle of unequal spacing, multiple lines. Now be watching this because this is what your assignment is going to be about, all right? When working with multiple lines, use the principle of unequal spacing. Also try varying the weight or the thickness of the lines. And for an extra boost of interest, try creating contrast with the color or the angle of the line. So look at this design, right? and they're just straight lines. There's 5 of them. And now let's look at this design. Right? What do you find different about it? I'll let you think about it for about 10 seconds. Okay, what do you find different about it? Well, you're going to see this is more dynamic because the distance between these and these is different. Here we almost have the same distance here and here, the same distance here, right? So the more that you vary where the lines are and how far they are away from each other, okay? And here they're using a splash of color almost opposite on the color wheel, not quite, because this is sort of a bluish green, but blue and yellow aren't opposite. Blue and orange would be opposite on the color wheel, or yellow and purple would be opposite, but it's very dynamic to have that one stripe coming through. The principle of unequal spacing is used to make designs more dynamic or energetic so that you will look around on that page more. There will be times when you do not want to use this because you want it to be static or you don't want it to be dynamic. For example, if you're working on a design that features a stop sign, your subject matter will not be enforced by a dynamic design because there's a stop sign in the middle of it. So use the principle of unequal spacing when it suits you in the subject matter. Also, there are times when you want to center an element on your design. Centered elements are not dynamic, but they do get your attention. But if you're going to do it, make sure it's really important to design it in the center for a reason. Make sure it's center stage. Made you look. Okay, hopefully you can see that there's a piece of paper right here or a border, right? Centered. Even the zeros are centered. Draws your attention right there and makes you stop. Made you look. Use copier paper and then other materials, so you can use markers, pens, magazines, glue, construction paper, to create a dynamic design with at least 5 lines. Make sure you use the principle of unequal spacing and use a variation to create energy. So this is your inspiration right here, but this is digital. So I'd like to see some elements that you used that were cut out. I'd like to see some coloring, but remember, everything has to be super neat. You're in a business here. You want to turn that in as neat as possible, all right? And that will be due, posted on Slack by Friday, all right? By Friday. All right, you guys. I love you. I miss you already. Go out and change your world for the better, even at home.